anything that we do with the seat, you want to make sure that your leg is not blocking your hip. So your hip is basically the channels that allows for energy. So if we're going forward, the hips have to be open. So if I'm riding the horse forward, my hips are open enough to allow that forward motion. Just so you can see, if you block the hips, like if you get an anterior rotation, or if you close off this angle, that disrupts the back, right? Anytime we close off this hip on one side or both, like if your pockets of your jeans become crunched on one side or both, the horse is then blocked in motion forward or sideways, right? Mm-hmm. So anytime we use our leg when we're riding the horse, if we block the hip, we block that motion, we drop the motion, and then you have to use excess leg to artificially recreate more energy. You basically stalled out the vehicle and you have to keep kickstarting it, right? So whenever we're riding with our leg for these lateral movements, the leg is just an accessory to the seat. So when we're riding, if we're moving the horse from one direction to the other, the leg accompanies the seat. Leg accompanies the seat. The leg accompanies the seat, as opposed to using the leg at the expense of the seat. So that disrupts the center of the rider and disrupts the center of the horse, and it forces the rider then to use excess pressure and more aids to fix, stabilize, or energize a horse that we have basically blocked. Where do you put your legs for different lateral movements, and what are the leg aids to use for those? And they can be very confusing, and there's a lot of different aids that you can give. But firstly, I want to explain the difference between a cue and riding from center. You can teach a horse anything with any cue if you repeat it enough. So we can teach the horse to do a leg yield by using a vocal cue, or throwing a carrot on a fishing stick, fishing line, and having the horse follow. There's a million different ways to do stuff. But when we're riding from center, there's really not a specific leg aid, but more so keeping your center of gravity where you want the horse to ride and keeping your seat in the position that allows the horse to do that thing. And Jade has been generous enough to help us see that in action. So what I've got her on is something called the balance rider, and it's simulating the horse's rib cage and barrel. So the ears would be out in front of her, obviously. And the first thing we need to identify is what is center. So Jade, what I'm going to have you play around with a little bit is just getting your weight dispersed over each side of that horse. It's a little bit hard because your legs are shorter they don't reach the ground, but these would be like your stirrups. And you want to have half of you on one side and half of you on the other. And what that's doing for the horse is allowing the horse to carry your weight more equally and get centered. Because you can feel what happens if you put more of you on one side. Go ahead and try that. The barrel tips. So if we were riding the horse, that would send the rib cage down and it would drive that right shoulder into the ground. So in order to do any movement, specifically a leg yield or a lateral movement of any kind, we need to be centered first. The horse has to be relatively straight. So if you were to get an anterior rotation of your pelvis, you can see that that drives the shoulders and withers down. And if you rock back onto your pockets too much, you can see that that also drops the rib cage, drops the back. So what we want to first identify is where is center and how do we get there? So we want half of us on one side, half of us on the other. And what you're making contact with in your seat is what's called in the classical tradition the 3-point seat. So that means the two seat bones and your pubic area making equal contact as you ride. So what we've got here is the pelvis. Your two seat bones, your ischium, are right here, and that's what's making contact with the saddle. But if you have too much contact with just the ischium, then that drops us this way, and that causes the hips to actually close off. So your hip joint right here needs to stay well open when you ride. So we want to feel the seat bones as well as the pubic area making a nice contact in what we call the 3-point seat. So your 3 points are well connected and you're feeling comfortable. It makes a floor, basically, that's connecting with the saddle. So once we have that well connected, let's say we want to do a shoulder in. So a shoulder in requires that the horse's shoulders turn in, but they continue going straight. So if we're riding from center, let's just say that you're going to start out straight, and let's say you're doing a right shoulder in, so you'll turn your body into the shoulder in right positioning, but you have a focal point of down there, and so this would be your shoulder in positioning. And you can see that that has rotated the barrel this way, so the shoulders have now turned in, the rib cage would be wrapped around your right leg, and you would just ride down center. So your seat would continue flowing in that manner. So let's try another option. This is how I learned shoulder in, okay? So you're going to squeeze with your inside leg to make the bend. So go ahead and squeeze your leg in. We'll just still stay, we're still straight though. So just go ahead and squeeze your right leg. Okay, now, now go ahead and lift your outside leg, squeeze your outside leg to keep, so the right leg makes the bend, the outside leg holds the bend, holds the outside hind stable. Now your right rein makes the flexion and your left leg holds it. So what's happening to the barrel?
It's tipping.
It's tipping, and then what happened to your hips?
They've dropped.
They dropped. So when we're doing this thing, so I'll try it on the ground too. I squeeze my right leg in, hold with my outside leg. So my hips are actually pointing that way.
Yeah.
My left hip is higher than my right hip. So the horse now is kind of like a tube of toothpaste squeezed in the middle and just, right?
Yeah.
So then I have to make more bend because the horse is not bending. So my right rein then has to make the flexion. And then I have to hold what's falling out with the left rein. Then I have to really drive with my inside leg because I've basically blocked the horse. And you can see that my hips, if my horse was going to stay under my center of gravity, my hips are going all over the place. How is he supposed to follow that?
Yeah.
So if we go back to here's your straight, here's your shoulder in, my hips and my shoulders have rotated to allow the horse's shoulders to follow through that. My reins and my legs just accompany that, and then I would ride down that line. So my inside leg here would actually be following the rib cage in a flowing way, and I wouldn't have to drive to make energy that I had blocked. Make sense?
Yeah.
So let's do another one, another leg yield. Let's do leg yield. So a common thing that people think about when they're doing leg yields is we're gonna go leg yield right to left this time. So your right rein makes the bend because you're going away from flexion. Then your right leg makes the move over, so you squeeze that one. So what's happening to the barrel? The barrel is already all crazy, right? So now you need more outside rein to stabilize that. Yeah. And each thing just sort of sets off a chain of events that we now have to fix. So let's do another one. You're gonna open the door for the horse to go. I call this the stanky leg. We'll do the open the door to let the horse come out. So you can see that the horse is going off at an angle. So now we need more right rein to fix that. And now the horse is flying out that left leg a lot, right? So the withers have rotated, the rib cage is dropping. So how easy is it to go straight out of that? So do your stanky leg again. Now try to straighten the horse out for like a right lead canter. You can't, right?
Yeah.
So with all lateral work, the important thing is how straight can you go coming out of it, right? All of these lateral movements have a purpose, and the purpose is to get straightness, right? It's not just to flop the horse around in a shape. So let's try leg yield riding from center. So first, just get your pelvis aligned, pick a focal point to look at, okay? Now you're going to, obviously this thing can't move laterally, but we're gonna leg yield from right to left. So we wanna keep the structure, the integrity of your body structured, right? And what we're gonna do is just yield your center. So that would be moving right to left. And so then the horse would just travel under your center. And if you needed a little extra right leg, you would be in a position there to just bring it in. And your hips don't get unlevel when doing it. So when we're riding from center, what we're doing is not giving the horse, you can relax your arms now, thank you. What we're doing is not giving the horse cues and correcting all of these little imbalances that happen in the process. We are teaching the horse to follow our center and putting the horse wherever our center goes, riding moment to moment in a way that the horse can really follow and understand with ease. So thank you for demonstrating for us.